Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at all things to do with Hank, because he should be arriving into the game within a week or so, just judging off the previous logic. We'll be going into his best build, his best matchups, and his best counters, because we didn't actually do that before in the previous sneak peek. So just as we build up the hype for Hank, I thought I'd release this video. So before we jump into things then, make sure you're using the creator code in the shop. That'd be greatly appreciated. And without further ado, let's hop into it. All right, guys, so jumping into Hank then, and why I think that Hank is going to be coming into the game pretty soon. It seems by previous logic with how Brawl Stars release brawlers, it feels like with Willow and I can't remember the other brawler before where they had two brawlers in a row, it felt like they actually released it in the middle of the update. That makes sense, right? Especially considering that there's two brawlers, you want to kind of split it up perfectly. So with how Willow was released, it's kind of safe to assume that Hank should be released, I would say, by next Friday latest. So prepare for Hank, he is coming, and I feel like he'll be a pretty strong brawler. So just getting to know his kind of base mechanics just quickly, and then we'll dive into what his gadgets and star powers do. So he has 9,000 HP and normal movement speed, and he deals 3,000 damage. Of course, the longer you hold down the button and build up your balloon, the more damage it will do. A very short range, but it has a very fast reload speed, and his super is basically like a spike gadget or a spike normal shot, and just splits off into multiple distances. So let's now jump into his gadgets and also his star powers to see what they do. Okay, so jumping into his first gadget is called water balloons. So water balloons, it will slow the opponent for 3 seconds. So just think of Crow's gadget slow toxins. Of course, you can't just shoot them from across the map and slow them, but a slow for 3 seconds is really good, especially for a tankier brawler. You can slow the opponent and get closer to them and take them down. Okay, so jumping into the next gadget is called barricade. So what this does, for 3 seconds, he takes a 40% reduced damage. So I think this can be really good, especially against those big hit targets, you know, for example, like a B shot or like a Shelly super to the face. At least this gadget can help you, and you can still move around. So it's not like lose ice block, for example, where you can just stand still and deflect damage. You're at least able to move for those 3 seconds. So I think both gadgets are really good with Hank. Okay, so jumping into the first star power, it is called It's Gonna Blow. So whenever is over 80% of his balloon burst, it will gain an extra 20% in movement speed. So this is pretty good. So I'd say around the 2 second mark, you start to get that extra movement speed, and then of course you get it until your balloon automatically pops. So it takes about 3 seconds or so for the balloon to then get to its full size, and then about 3 seconds or so for it to pop automatically if you don't let go of it already. So that is just 1 point as well. So I think this star power is actually going to be pretty sneakily good. Imagine if you combine this with the speed gear as well. I just think it's going to allow you to just approach opponents a lot quicker and a lot easier to take them down. So this is definitely a strong star power. Okay, so now jumping into the second star power, it is called Take Cover. So whenever Hank is near a wall, he will have a 20% damage reduction shield. So a little bit of a weird one. So of course you got to kind of play near the wall. You literally got to be like on top of it for the shield to kind of activate. So it's a little bit of a weird one, but I think the way you're going to be playing Hank probably is going to be quite similar to Jackie. So I think you're going to be staying around walls quite a lot, because you can actually shoot through the walls with his main attack. So I think this star power is going to be pretty good, but the other thing is he's already got an abundance in HP, so maybe he doesn't really need this extra shield. We'll see, but definitely an interesting star power, especially on maps with unbreakable walls. I feel like this one could be pretty toxic. Okay, so now moving on to his best build then. I think for gadgets, it's actually a pretty tough one. So you've got this one that slows down opponents for 3 seconds. That could be a good thing, but depending on the brawler you're facing, do you really want to take them down with a slow? For example, like Shelly in the meta, I think Shelly would destroy Hank in a 1v1, so I don't know really about that one, but I think it's still a pretty good one overall. And then Barricade, a 40% damage reduction for 3 seconds. I think this one can be very clutch. You know, for example, if you're Hank and the ball's being passed to you and you're about to score, you can pop the gadget and get that extra shield whilst walking for those 3 seconds. So could be a really good one to have. So I'll have to test this one out. Honestly, both of them are going to be pretty solid. And then going into the star powers, and so It's Gonna Blow seems like a good one. Any extra movement speed with a star power, or kind of just anything with a brawler, is of course really good, but it will only last for about 3 or 4 seconds. That's one thing to bear in mind, but I think it'll be pretty solid for him. Whilst this one might feel a little bit awkward, of course you've got to be hugging a wall to get that 20% damage reduction, and you might not always, you know, take damage. You know, for example, if you're facing brawlers that can't shoot around walls or can't shoot over walls, then this star power's pretty much pointless in a sense. So I think It's Gonna Blow is going to be the better star power. I think both the first gadget and first star power is going to be better overall. And then when you're talking about gears then, so of course health gear is going to be insane on Hank. I think it's the second highest HP brawler in the game, I believe. You know, you'll have to quote me on that one. Of course, Frank is much higher, so health's going to be really good with Hank. And then depending on the map, a lot of grass, of course, speed. And then I don't think you'll be needing shield ever because he's already got enough HP. So I think you'll be the damage gear more often than not. So that is going to be the best build with Hank. All right, guys. So first and foremost, we're going to be taking a look at Hank's best matchups, but also a few things that we missed off on like the important questions. So in terms of his minimum damage up close, it is 750 damage or 840. I think it depends sometimes. I think it is 750 if you literally tap the auto button. As you can see, 750 damage. And then of course, depending on how long you press the balloon for, it of course the damage scales up, and then it only takes 3 shots to actually charge your super. So I think the super's only going to be effective against brawlers that he's super up close with. So I don't think his super's that interesting or either that good really, but it only takes 3 shots to get. It's a good damage boost, especially up close. So anyways, his best brawlers that I think he's going to be good against are literally in this game. So I think he's going to be pretty good against throwers. So even though he does lack the range in some circumstances, I think especially on a map like this, he can literally 2-tap them from behind the wall. And a brawler like Sprout hates it when there's a brawler near him that has a lot of HP. I know that myself because I'm pretty much a Sprout main. So any brawler that has a high amount of HP, Sprout's going to have a tough time against. So Hank's going to counter Sprout, thankfully. And then next up we have Piper. So Piper I think is just not really the best in the meta right now. So basically any brawler that is pretty squishy, I think Hank's going to do a fantastic job against. Literally 2-tap in from behind a wall. He's literally Jackie, but so much better. That's what you got to think of for Hank right now. The fact that he can just melt people from behind a wall with just such added range is just absolutely insane to me. Of course, he's still got to wait for that shot to kind of wind up. I think once you kind of master how to play Hank, he's going to be absolutely insane. So next, I've gone with Penny. So even though Penny is a very good brawler right now, one of the best brawlers in the game, I think Hank's going to be pretty decent against Penny because he can, of course, destroy that turret from behind a wall. And it will take a long time for Penny to actually kill a Hank. So I think that's going to be a good matchup for the Hank. And then, of course, he can shoot through that Penny gadget with his main attack. So I think he's going to be, I wouldn't really say a hard counter to Penny, but I think more so like he'll have a decent matchup. I think if Penny gets nerfed, he'll have a very good matchup. And then throws in general, of course, like Barley, any kind of thrower, I think Hank's going to have a fantastic matchup against. And then lastly, I went with Sandy. So Sandy, again, kind of struggles against those high HP brawlers. And I think Hank should just be able to 2-tap a Sandy pretty easily. So that's going to be the best matchups for Hank. Let's hop into the next one. All right, guys, so now moving on to the best Hank counters. So the main point of this video, I think that you'll be needing to, you know, study what counters Hank pretty hard once the update drops, well, once the new brawler drops, because I think Hank's going to be a very strong brawler. So Maisie was pretty underwhelming with, well, just in the last update. I don't think Maisie's good at all. So surely one of the two brawlers is going to be pretty good. And I think Hank is going to be very, very strong. So I think in terms of counter sense, so straight away you got to look at Hank is a very tanky brawler. So what are brawlers that counter tanky brawlers? Straight away you think of Shelly and Colette. So Shelly in the meta is the best brawler in the game, and even before she got that big buff to her, I think she still would counter Hank. So yeah, Shelly, one of the best brawlers, gonna counter Hank pretty easily. And then next is Colette. So of course Colette again is a brawler that just shuts down tanks pretty easily. So of course Colette's gonna be a pretty good counter to the Hank. And we actually nearly lost to bots there, which is actually pretty funny. But anyways, so Colette's going to be a fantastic option because of course she literally she'll destroy half of Hank's HP with one shot straight away. So of course that's going to be pretty broken. And then next up we have okay, this scale's a little bit annoying up close. See, it's going to be a little bit annoying up close to aim, and I know I'm not completely walking through these brawlers, so I don't know. It depends what you kind of judge of his bot gameplay. But anyways, next up is Primo. So again, you think of any kind of tanks, Primo is a fantastic counter to his fellow tanks. And I just think up close, Primo's going to be able to throw Hank. He's going to be able to just jump on him repeatedly, and Hank's not going to have the quick burst damage to take down a Primo. So definitely Primo is going to be a fantastic counter to Hank. And then we've got a couple more. So B is going to be a good counter to Hank, mainly because of course she shuts down tanks so easily, but not only that, of course, he hasn't got the range to really compete with B. I think in some scenarios, Hank can, of course, take down a B. You know, for example, if B's kind of hiding behind a wall and she's got her gadget, at least Hank can destroy her gadget and take down B with a couple of shots. But still, you've got to get close to B, which not many brawlers can do right now. And I think the underrated counter to Hank right now is going to be Carl. So the main reason I think that is because of Carl's protective pirouette, but not only that, of course, Hank hasn't got any kind of cancellation feature, so I think that's really going to hurt him against multiple assassins. So yeah, don't take me losing to bots as a bad thing, by the way. I'm just trying to get kills, I'm not trying to win. But anyways, that's gonna be it for today's video. So if we learned anything from this video, I think he's got a pretty good build overall. He hasn't got like bad star powers or gadgets in my opinion. I think maybe take cover could need a little bit of a tweak. It's a little bit of a weird one. We'll have to wait and see. But I think overall, Hank is going to be a pretty strong brawler. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe he's just too weak up close. I feel like that could be a big problem, maybe. But then his super can kind of help him in those scenarios. It is an interesting one. It's pretty hard to tell whether Hank will be broken. I think with some brawlers, you know, like RT, for example, I knew 100% he was going to be pretty broken. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.